What would be one piece of advice you would give to any new college student? So we're talking people that are right through the gates, just stepping on, campus or just starting to attend their classes virtually for the first time.
I would definitely say to utilize your resources, and by that, your teachers, your classmates, tutors, your librarian, anybody that says that they're there to help you, they honestly, truly do mean it. So whenever that's extended, do take it. I know that sometimes it's kind of awkward. You're struggling, maybe you don't have that great of a relationship with your professor, and it can feel very like isolating, and you're kind of like, what in the world do I do? Where do I go? Who do I talk to? And that's, their job is to help the students. So definitely communicate as much as you can and utilize the people around you for sure.
So this next question is something that I personally struggled with when I was a college student, and it took me extra time to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. So how did you ultimately narrow down what you wanted to study, and how did you choose your program?
So just as Mike was saying, meeting with your advisor is everything. When I had to first initially enrolled, a lot of Great Basin stuff is online. So I did like the whole enrollment process by myself. And then when it came to selecting the courses that I was actually going to take, was when I made an appointment with an advisor. And I sat down with her and we selected my first major, which I think was education. And it's nice because your undergrad, there's a lot that's just, your like core basic classes. So it didn't really matter that I changed my major eventually to social work, but I met with her like an additional 2 more times. And every time she would kind of just ask me, like, well, what do you want? How are these classes going? What fields would you like to see yourself in? What are the things you do like to do, don't like to do? And I just think that meeting with her was the best decision because she was an outside source, somebody that can kind of give me, an objective opinion, but also still tried to meet my own needs as well. So meeting with the advisor was the best thing that I could have ever done. It's hard to navigate college by yourself. And, fresh out of high school, I didn't know anything, and I was almost very like discouraged. I remember like crying one day being like, I can't do this. I'm not going to college anymore. And she relieved a lot of my anxieties.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a really good point too. That I'm glad you brought it up because it's something that we wanted to include in this. Is that there is a lot of people that are undecided when they first end up coming into college. It sounds like every single one of us changed our major at one point in time while we were in college as well. And some people's situations, it was multiple times. But definitely we all did. And like Sierra had kind of touched on, there are typically going to be these general education courses that almost everybody's going to end up taking. There might need to be a little bit of manipulation, but that's where the advisor is going to come into play. So a lot of people always want to know, well, I want to go back to college. What's my first step? First step is you apply for admissions. And then as soon as you can, you end up meeting with an advisor. That goes, if you're coming back to school, whatever it is, that first initial portion is going to be meeting with that advisor and letting them know how many classes you want to take, what type of a course load. If you don't know what you're doing, or if you know exactly where you want to be in the end, maybe it's medical school, something else like that. So that's something you want to discuss with them. That's what their job is to help figure that out for you. Why did you choose GBC of all places?
So the most obvious reason is because I live, in Elko, and there's Great Basin College there. But I chose it ultimately because of like the convenience for it. They offered a lot of live and online classes, and since I was working full time while I started to go to college, having an option of having online courses was really great. And then after I had switched my major from education to social work, I found out about the 3+1 program. And so I knew that I would be able to get like a super discounted price on my tier one, like, my tier
Education, right?
education, exactly, eventually. And so I thought that the like between UNR and Great Basin College, I think it was an opportunity that like absolutely had to be seized. And so I just wanted to stick with Great Basin. And then also, like before going to UNR, being at a major university, I liked the community college experience because I got more one-on-one time with my professors, and I would like see my professors in the community all the time, and it was easy to get a hold of them. They could always be reached, so that was really nice. The community college is a little bit like of a closer bond, I would say.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times community colleges are what, I would recommend even if I didn't work for Great Basin College, especially for people that are undecided, because like you said, there's the affordability factor. So if you are going to go and spend money, it's more than likely going to be a lot less than you would at a university, especially while you're trying to, still fill things out and figure out what you want to do. Chantel, go ahead. Next question.
Okay, so this is kind of a fun one. What is your favorite part about being a college student, and what is your least favorite part about being a college student?
All right, I'll start with the bad first. So I would say my least favorite part about being a college student is you just have to be very self-disciplined, definitely. Like I had said, I take a lot of online courses. So I've taken more online courses than I have live courses, and that required me to definitely be self-disciplined, time management for sure, and really to prioritize the things in my life. And so it gets kind of difficult sometimes to juggle all those. And in the beginning, when you're doing it, it can seem like very, very, very tough. But I just had to like keep reminding myself every bit of the way, I can do it. There's an end to it eventually. And then eventually I got to the end and I was like, woo. And then I would say my favorite thing about being a college student is all the connections that I've made and the diversity that I've been exposed to. Again, Elko is a very small place, and Great Basin College is actually like they do tons of online stuff like I'd been mentioning. And so I was able to meet people, like there was a classmate in Hawaii, there's people in Vegas, there's people in California, like all of these other areas. And I've just been like mind blown by how much is kind of out there. Like when you first start college, your purview is like this big, and then you learn more and more, and it just like widens. And so I'm thankful for the diversity and the education in general.
What is one thing you wish someone would have told you about college before you started? So what did we miss when we were trying to give you all the information we could?
So FAFSA is a wonderful thing, and everybody's like financial situation is a little bit different. So I'm definitely speaking from my own experience. But if I would have known from the beginning how much money I was going to get from FAFSA, I would have not worked full time, and I would have been a full-time student instead. And I just don't think that was fully explained to me. So to like get my associates, instead of it taking 2 years, it took me like 3 years, which was fine because, there's a pace thing, and I was able to do well and excel in my classes by taking that little bit of extra time. But if I would have known that I could have gone full time and all of that would have been covered by my FAFSA, I absolutely would have done that. And so I think that contacting them no matter what, and at least having a conversation with them about what type of FAFSA would be available to you is really important, because even a little bit can go a long way. The classes at GBC are fairly inexpensive. So if you can get, one class taken care of, then that's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. That's amazing. Chantel, you're up. Last one.
All right, so this is our last question. Is there anything about your college experience that you would like to share with others?
So I had started college. I took 1 semester off, and I was going to take like a year off, and I ended up getting really bored. And I'm like, I need to go back to school. And I had a little 1-year-old boy working full time. And like I said, it felt impossible. And when I was trying to sign up for those classes, I got defeated, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to quit. And then I met with that advisor, and she was super empowering and encouraging. And then just like every single semester that I went on, like it got a little bit easier, and I got a little bit smarter, and I made a little bit more connections. And so I just think that like the most important thing is to never give up on yourself and to always advocate for yourself and to keep a really good support system around you, because there's going to be times when you want to quit, when you want to throw in the towel and say, I'm done with it. And you need those people around you, whether it's, you know, your friends or your family or advisors or a professor, to sit there and say, like, you are capable and you can do it and you will do it. And I did. And I remember taking like my first 101 English course, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to do this. And now here I am in a master's program. And that was never the goal. It was never, I was just like, I'm just going to do my undergrad and then be done with it. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to do my master's. And now I have, you know, other professors telling me, well, how about that PhD? And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be a lifelong student. But I love it, and I'm so grateful for everything that Great Basin provided for me, and like they really let me see my own full potential, and they've helped me reach it. Absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, that's good to hear. It's definitely difficult once you finish your bachelor's degree to avoid people trying to push you to continue your education. I can attest to that. All right, so thank you both today. I think that worked out really well. I think those, thank you for coming up with those questions as well, Chantel. Sierra, awesome answers. It's always a pleasure. And we'll go ahead and end that session there unless you guys have anything else to put in. No? Okay.
That's it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. If I could find the end to this thing.